G'day guys and welcome back to the channel. My name's Coach Michael Stone and this week we're going to be talking about that trendy old thing called hybrid training. Here's a quick layout of what the video will look like today. Firstly, we're going to recap to the video introduction which I posted last week. Then I'm going to explain what hybrid training actually is, followed by 5 reasons that you may benefit from hybrid training, my personal experience with hybrid training, and an introduction to next week's video. Let's get started. So if you haven't watched the video that I posted last week, I would encourage you to do so. However, here's a quick recap to the purpose of this channel. So I want to educate, empower, and entertain you on topics such as fitness, wellness, mindset, as well as offering some personal insights into my own lifestyle, sharing my own experience and perspectives, and maybe a few vlogs here and there. So what is hybrid training? You can have someone doing strength training, running, maybe they do some martial arts. Technically, that's hybrid training. You've got a lot of these people getting into high rocks now, where there's a strength and endurance component. So that would also be classed as hybrid training, I guess. But we need to give credit where it's due to the man who actually wrote the book called The Hybrid Athlete. By definition, here is how Alex Viada describes hybrid training: the concurrent training of 2 different athletic disciplines which do not inherently support each other and whose disparate components are not required for success at any one sport. At least it was something like that. Traditionally speaking, and based on what you see as the most popular type of hybrid training right now, is training strength and endurance. We could look at strength training with the purpose of muscle hypertrophy, otherwise known as muscle growth, whilst also trying to improve endurance, which is usually done via running or cycling. However, true strength we can define as maximal strength, which is what a powerlifter trains for. And again, we can connect this with some running, cycling, swimming, or any endurance type sport. Now, we're not going to dive into the nitty gritty today. That's what we'll be discussing in future. For now, let's just talk about 5 reasons why you actually may benefit from doing hybrid training. Reason number 1 is improving all-round health and fitness. Reason number 2 is improving all-round athletic performance. Reason number 3 is enhancing your body composition. Reason number 4 is improving your psychological health and wellness. And reason number 5 is that I believe hybrid training has greater sustainability and functionality. Let's dive a little further into each of these points. Now, before we do, there is one thing that I want to highlight. If you are currently active, maybe you strength train, you're a runner, you play a sport, you're going to be gaining a lot of the benefits that I'm going to be describing now. And you're probably already doing some of the things that would be in a hybrid training routine. So hybrid training is not the be all and end all. There are other ways to get fit and healthy. I just believe this to be a very well-rounded approach. So reason number 1, improves health and fitness, reducing risk of chronic diseases, enhance cardiovascular and respiratory function, improve bone density and joint health, increase muscle mass and reduce body fat, increase strength and power, improved aerobic endurance, and enhance flexibility and mobility. Now, please take note, each of these benefits are subject to multiple variables. You can train the house down, but if you eat too much, you're not going to see this benefit of reducing body fat. On the other hand, if you're someone who has a genetic disposition to certain diseases, hybrid training might help you manage them, but it might not prevent you from getting them or having it already. Finally, your actual approach to training and nutrition will dictate the results you see. Poor planning and management on both ends will impact the results that you see for your body composition, strength, power, and your endurance. So let's talk about that athletic performance side of things a little bit more. Now, for someone who isn't training or possibly is just a runner, if you're not incorporating any strength training into your program, you're going to be missing out on a lot of gains in muscular power, as well as the ability for your muscles and tendons to absorb forces whilst you're running. On the other hand, if you're someone that just has a bodybuilding or strength training approach, you may be missing out on some of the cardiovascular adaptations seen through aerobic endurance training. For the person not training or who is just the runner, this may mean that you're missing out on better performance and also putting yourself at higher risk of injury. For the powerlifter or the bodybuilder, you may be missing out on some potential improvements in recovery, as well as improving your general health and longevity. Depending on the approach that you take to hybrid training, you may see more or less gains in athletic performance. For instance, if you have plyometrics, maximal strength, and hypertrophy work, you can expect to see improvements in power, maximal strength, and muscle hypertrophy. Whereas if some of these components are missing or they aren't programmed well, the results will differ. So let's talk a little bit more about body composition. If you are someone who knows they could optimize their strength training a little more, you could expect to see some improvements in muscle strength and muscle mass. Again, this is going to be heavily influenced by your nutrition and recovery as well. The same goes for someone who could potentially see reductions in body fat. You can train all you want, but if your nutrition isn't dialed in, you're not going to see the benefit here. Now let's talk about why hybrid training is potentially a very potent tool for improving your body composition. If you get your training and nutrition right, you'll be able to improve muscle mass and reduce body fat. Over weeks and months of hybrid training, energy expenditure can potentially be quite high, which can either give you a buffer with how much food you can eat and maintain weight or build muscle, or can add to that calorie deficit if you are in a fat loss phase. Another side note here would be for someone who is quite muscular, you're not going to see the same hypertrophy gains that you would doing a hypertrophy training routine alone. And this is something that you probably want to consider before starting a hybrid training approach. Let's discuss psychological health and wellness. I'd say it's quite commonly known now that exercise is great for our mental health. There's numerous studies to show that it supports depression, anxiety, and if you haven't experienced it yourself, you've probably had a mate who's told you about their runner's high. So whilst we can see some acute physiological changes, there can be other variables that can affect this and not just the training itself. If you're someone that works in an office and then you go to the gym and then you go home, getting some running or cycling into your routine could get you outdoors and a little bit of sun exposure. On the other hand, if you're a runner that's always outside by themselves, getting into the gym might get you around some people where you can strike up a conversation and maybe develop some new friendships. Both situations are going to have positive effects on your mental health. However, to look at it from another angle, if you're someone that is always just going to the gym, you walk in there, head down, music blasting, opening up your routine with some running outdoors might just help you to clear your head a little bit more than your gym routine actually does. Finally, let's talk about reason number 5 as to why you should be doing some hybrid training. In terms of sustainability and functionality, I believe having a more flexible training approach allows you to consistently adhere to it for a longer amount of time. Outside of that, it might just be really good to know that you can join a mate for a gym session or go out for a group run. Having that capability might be something that allows this training routine to fit into your lifestyle more. Now, in terms of functionality, if you have a stronger body, it's generally going to be more resilient, which could see you reducing the likelihood of injury through various daily tasks. Whether it's doing some work around the house, or if you're someone who's doing manual labor or lifting up a kid, you might not do your back out. And when it comes to the endurance side of things, if you've ever encountered a flight of stairs, got to the top and were absolutely out of breath, it might just be a little bit nicer for that not to happen. On the other side of things, improving your aerobic endurance is going to enhance your recovery and your lung capacity. If you can start to breathe better, you might be able to start to manage stress a little more, and you might not feel so fatigued all the time. Another factor that I want to talk about when it comes to psychological health and wellness is the fact that I think when combined, strength training and endurance training are a potent combination for building mental resilience and self-confidence. Hybrid training is demanding. Don't get it twisted, it's another stress that's going to be in your life. It does have positive outcomes, but it's still stress. However, if you can accept and get better at rebounding from stress in a positive manner, that is going to be something that pays off in the long run. Now, when it comes to self-confidence, having multiple metrics such as rep maxes, MRAPs, 5 or 10K time trials, maybe running your first half or full marathon are all avenues to prove to you your own competence. When you see that you can do a task well that you may have otherwise thought you could not, you are going to have more self-confidence in your own abilities. Now, this transcends the gym or running on the road. This is going to impact your professional life and your personal life, how you see yourself and how you communicate with others. I think that's one of the finer points that we need to pay attention to when it comes to hybrid training. So finally, I just want to briefly talk about my personal experience with hybrid training and training for different sports. Over the past 8 to 9 years, I've dipped my toes in the water with a bodybuilding competition, a couple of powerlifting competitions, one Muay Thai fight, and more recently, I've got a lot more serious with my running. Having completed the half marathon down at the Gold Coast this year, I've got a fair few more goals set with my running for the next 6 to 12 months. Now, over my time, I didn't like just doing one thing. Whether it was training for my powerlifting competition, whilst doing a couple of Muay Thai classes a week, or having the combination of strength training, Muay Thai, and some running, I found having the flexibility with my routine helped me to stay more motivated. And throughout all these competitions, I proved myself that I could do things that I probably didn't think I could otherwise. And that's helped me to build a lot more self-confidence. And while some did this more than others, I started to build a lot more mental resilience, which in this day and age is quite valuable. However, don't get me wrong, I faced a lot of challenges when it came to tying some of this training together. And that's why I've educated myself, experienced it, and it's why I want to help other people be able to do the same thing well. So you can improve your health and fitness, your athletic performance, your body composition, your psychological health and wellness, and so you can have a more sustainable and functional training approach. However, I can't put that all into one video, but we're going to dive a little more into that next week, where we're going to be discussing a beginner's guide to hybrid training, so you can learn to combine strength and endurance training together. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. I hope it was either A, educational, B, empowering, or C, entertaining. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss next week's video.